Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to talk about chipsID EPPiC database and how the database can benefit you when it comes to counterfeit mitigation. So the history around EPPiC database is that I personally look for this database myself when I conduct counterfeit mitigation inspection because a lot of the time we tend to be reactive mode. We don't catalog parts ahead of time until we need it for reference. At the end of the day, supply chain is very complex. A lot of companies rely on shortcuts, right? Because it's the easiest route, the route with least resistance. And of course, when you do shortcuts, it comes with risk. Risk of counterfeit part entering your system. So there are many ways the database can help you and your company. And I'm just going to name the top three that will be most applicable. And that is compliance and evidence. Okay, that's the first way it can help you. Number two is going to be increase in confidence level, right? How you compare something against DUT, you need to have evidence in order to increase their confidence level. And lastly, it's got to be auditable, right? If you have something that the auditor can see and that goes back to evidence, they'll be more likely in trusting your process and knowing that you know what you do to mitigate counterfeit parts. So let's go ahead and walk through the EPPiC. The acronym for this is EPPiC. So the first E is the effectiveness. So for me to create this database, we need to have these 5 criteria, right? And the first one is effectiveness. If I create a database, or if I tell you chipsID database has 5 million parts in the database today, and you log in and only 2 or 3 parts or even potentially 0 part comes up, now it's no longer effective, isn't it? Then you will say, well, chipsID doesn't have what I need. And that's the key, right? The key is to work with you, right? It's not about the size of the database. It's about the percent match to what you need. So if I have this mouse right here that I need to catalog the parts, because I don't want to find part during supply chain shortage, and I don't have access to go to sample. So if you open this mouse up, it's probably, I say 2 to 3 IC or even 4 ICs max, right? A voltage regulator and a microcontroller to control the mouse movement, right? To record it. So in a short amount of time, you can record 3 IC and the mouse entire life cycle is set for you to navigate through supply chain disruption. If you have a disruption on the IC and you don't want to redesign the mouse, well, go to the open market. I'm sure there are excess inventory somewhere, but is it quality, right? So that's the key. So the first one is effectiveness. So it's not about the size of the database, it's about working with you, collaborate with you proactively. So that's the next acronym letter is the P, proactive. So when you log to our database, we want it to be proactive. Proactive meaning when you perform your BOM analysis during your design phase, you also request for cataloging with chipsID. So it comes hand in hand. So for the first time ever, we're moving counterfeit mitigation inspection during the production phase, all the way to the design phase. And that has never been done before because I'm approaching the problem through engineering perspective, not through sales perspective, right? We're not selling parts. We're selling authentic data for you to compare against, right? We're selling you verified data for you to compare against. So that is the proactive piece. And we make it so proactive that we partner with Accurious to make that request even simpler. So as you can see here on the database, let me navigate to part intelligence here. If you find a part, let's say you want to design this LM2902, is an operational amplifier into your design. It has a good life cycle, right? Good availability. And that is the perfect time for you to catalog. High availability. Don't wait until it's obsolete and scramble around for parts, right? catalog it now. So it even show you inventory from the curious, over 300,000 parts. So when this part goes obsolete or when the supply chain hit, there's no excuses to say I don't have access to golden sample. Golden sample, we only need one piece from you, right? And that's all you need. Or let us know the part number, we catalog it for you. So how do you request that? You click on the part number itself, and you can click on, so the default is part details in the curious, and you click on additional information. So it looks like chipsID doesn't have this part, so that's why it said request part from chipsID. But if we do have it, then it's going to be saying view at chipsID, right? So that's the beauty of it. Be proactive. When you want to design this part in and you set with this part, feel free to design it in, but also feel free to request part from chipsID. Okay, so that is the effective and proactive features. The next one is privacy feature. So every part that you see in here are called public, are considered public domain. They are common parts, COTS part, commercial off the shelf that's available anywhere from Avnet, DigiKey, or even manufacturer direct, right? We do not buy part, do not disclose part that are DUT in the common domain. We only do that when we only show those parts when it's tied to the customer. And privacy meaning, let's say company A today wants to subscribe to our database. We will assign a 17-digit ID on top of that company. So now we remove company A with a 17-digit ID. And now all they have to filter to their part number or the DUT that they subscribe, that they send to us for inspection, those parts will come up. And even the golden sample that they supply to us also tied to that. But if they choose not to share the golden sample, that's fine. We can hide that as well. But there's a reason why we want to hide. We don't want to hide golden sample. Because one, these are COTS part. So you look at the screen here, this TPS 2822-26D could be used in a coffee maker, could be used in a toaster, or could be used in missile defense system, communication system. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter. There's no proprietary that tied to your information, no proprietary information that tied to your company. These are COTS part, right? So that's the idea. If you have a COTS part, as a community, that is how we're going to combat electronic counterfeit together. We're not going to combat it by keeping it to ourselves, right? Innovation is good for competition, but not for counterfeit mitigation. So these are COTS part that are being shared, right? And for privacy, let's go ahead and take a look at the company here real quick. So these are the DUT that the company wants us to conduct, to catalog. Fine, we will catalog DUTs, but it's only one associated to your company where people cannot find it. And two, we also put watermark on them. We've said warning, this part is the device under test and not to be used as a golden sample comparison. So you have all the images just like the golden sample. You have 6 high resolution images, including the dye bright field down here, right? Or you can view full screen. So that is the privacy feature. So we cover EPP, so effective, proactive privacy. And the next one is intuitive. So if I remove the filter ID here, I'm going back to the beginning. All you have to do is filter by part number, description. The default for the filter is all manufacturers being displayed, or you can filter to a manufacturer of your choice, right? Again, it's not for this, we're not using this database for part lookup or designing part into your system. So the filter part is more for looking up, what is the common marking for a certain manufacturer when you do your counterfeit mitigation write-up or report. I'll give you additional confidence, right? So if I want to say how are TI marking their part, so I would go down to TI and say, you know what? See, some of them they use pin 1, some of them. So if it's SOIC 8, they tend to have this bar for the marking, and you can go to the next page and so on, right? So that's the beauty of having search by filter by manufacturer. So let's go ahead and go back to all manufacturers. And so that's very intuitive. You can search by part number or description. And so the last one would be collaborative. Collaborative, collaborative is a very important piece of EPPiC, meaning that let's say you missed the last time buy for this TPS 28226D, but your peers happen to catalog with chipsID already. So you don't have to necessarily catalog another one if you don't want to. And if there's no PCN for die chain, you don't really have to send us another one. You can use this one here as a golden sample, right? Because we catalog down to the die level for every part. Because at the end of the day, what matters is the silicon of the part, right? Not the molding compound, not the lead frame. The brain of the chip is the silicon. So that's why we have the saying, dies don't lie. So if you open this part right here, I would expect the silicon to be in there, right? The UCC 37324 for part number U2337324. But this one is the easy one where the part number tie with the external package. But you've seen in my other video where the two, I'm going to make another video where the two don't even correlate. So that's the beauty of collaborative. If you missed the last time buy, someone else might already cover for you. Again, if you're a subscribe member, your first immediate do is search if the golden sample exists before you request for another one to save you time and money. And before I close out the video, I want to walk through an example. Let's go ahead and take a look at this LM2733. So this is a practical example of how you would use chipsID EPPiC database, right? So your natural instinct is to first log in to see if the golden sample exists. And lo and behold, it does. So that's a good ideal case where you don't have to request for golden sample. So let me go ahead and use this one here. So I'm going to say I want this part. So I want to compare against the DUT that I sent to chipsID recently. So this is the part that I sent to chipsID as a proactive solution. So I want to click on compare. So it must be in the common library. And now what I do next is I have to put in my filter ID. The filter ID is the company that chipsID, the last 5 digits that chipsID assigned to me. So I put in the last 5 digits and chipsID informed me that the DUT is ready for comparison. So what I do next is I find a part. I look for the warning. That's most likely the DUT, or that is the DUT. You click on compare, and now you set open compare. So now you have two parts comparing side by side. You have the golden sample on the left and the DUT on the right. And at this moment, you can already tell that you got the wrong lot. So you don't have to send this part out for electrical test. So you save time, money, and you demonstrate to your customer that you know what you're doing, right? Even auditors would love to see this. So at this stage, you're gonna reject a lot and try to find another lot, save you so much money. Rather than send this part out, electrical tested, imagine without a golden sample, electrically tested, and it's the wrong part. When chipsID EPPiC database could have told you in the first place within less than a minute or seconds. So to close this out, you say clear selection and close compare, and close this one out and remove the filter. So now you're back to the main database. So at the end of the day, that is EPPiC feature. It will elevate your counterfeit mitigation inspection by quite a bit, from 50% confidence to literally 90% confident before you send the part out for electrical tests. So I hope you enjoyed the video and that you see how chipsID EPPiC database can elevate your game and gain customer trust. So I hope you find it useful, and I'll catch you in the next video. Take care. Bye now.